Imagine diving beneath the Mediterranean Sea and stumbling across what just looks like a corroded, pretty gross lump of bronze. You'd probably think it was just standard, uninteresting ancient wreckage, right? But what if I told you that inside that mysterious, crusted object were precision gears, rotating dials, intricate mathematical scales, and complex astronomical inscriptions? We're diving into the central paradox of this explainer today, the Antikythera Mechanism. It is, quite literally, the world's oldest known analog computer.
And here's the number that makes this whole story so completely mind-bending: 2,000. This machine, which was capable of intricately modeling the cosmos, was built over 2 millennia ago. We're talking sometime around the 2nd century BCE. Ancient engineers actually constructed a device that was frankly impossible, according to everything we thought we knew about the history of technology.
So that brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Who built the world's first computer? Just imagine being one of those divers exploring an ancient shipwreck and pulling up this impossible anachronism. How did its creators understand astronomy so deeply? And how on earth did they possess the mechanical engineering chops to put it all together? Well, to figure that out, we actually need to go back to exactly where it was found.
Section 1. The Shipwreck Discovery, a secret hidden beneath the sea.
Our chronological detective story begins not in some pristine modern laboratory, but way down beneath the waves. And what's really striking here is the sheer massive gap in time. Back in the 1st century BCE, a ship carrying some highly valuable cargo goes down. For nearly 2,000 years, it just sits there, completely undisturbed. Then, fast forward to 1900 and 1901, and a group of sponge divers discovers the wreck. They bring up statues, coins, glassware, and this heavily corroded mass of bronze. Now, nobody had a clue what it was at first. It was basically treated like debris and shipped off to a museum in Athens. But then, in 1902, a researcher noticed something extraordinary poking out of the rust and corrosion: gear wheels. Not just one, but a highly sophisticated network of them. And incredibly, it wasn't until 2005 that modern advanced X-ray CT scans finally let us truly look inside.
Section 2. A machine ahead of time. Bronze versus silicon.
To really demystify what we mean when we call this ancient device a computer, we have to understand that the Antikythera Mechanism is an analog computer. Basically, this is a machine that physically transforms mathematical relationships into actual mechanical motion. It performs insanely complex calculations, but it does it entirely without electricity, without software, and without a processor. It relies purely on the physical-mechanical interaction of its parts.
It's a huge contrast. When we say computer today, we think of electricity, silicon chips, lines of code, digital memory, all those places where math is handled electronically. But the Antikythera Mechanism? That was driven by a manual crank, bronze gears, pure mathematics, and incredible human engineering. The user would just turn a handle, which changed the input, and all those intricate bronze gears would physically rotate to give you the output. The gears literally were the computation.
Section 3. The Cosmos in a Box. Mathematics you can hold.
Now let's shift our focus to the actual software of this machine. Imagine pulling out your phone and opening a modern astronomy app, but doing it in ancient Greece, without Bluetooth, without a battery. The built-in capabilities here are absolutely staggering. Researchers have found that the mechanism could track the movements of the sun and the moon. It could represent changing lunar phases. It could actually predict solar and lunar eclipses. It calculated complex ancient Greek calendars and even tracked the cycles for the Pan-Hellenic Games, which included the Olympics. On top of all that, it was designed to model the cycles of the 5 planets visible to the naked eye at the time: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. You could literally dial in a particular date and the machine would mechanically calculate a whole suite of astronomical information instantly.
To pull something like that off requires unbelievable mathematical precision, basically merging Babylonian astronomical cycles with Greek mathematics. Let's look at 2 of the most vital cycles it computed. First, you have the Metonic cycle. This lasts 19 years and beautifully syncs up lunar months with the solar year, which is absolutely essential because religious festivals and agricultural events completely depended on highly accurate calendars. And then you have the Saros cycle, an approximately 18-year period used to predict the terrifying and fascinating timing of lunar and solar eclipses, all displayed through a really clever spiral dial on the machine.
But honestly, perhaps the most jaw-dropping feature is what scientists call the moon inside a machine. You see, the moon doesn't actually move across our sky at a perfectly constant speed, mostly because its orbit isn't a perfect circle. Ancient Greek astronomers, specifically a guy named Hipparchus, had studied this anomaly closely.
According to research from 2006, the Antikythera Mechanism featured a special, highly specific gear arrangement that mechanically reproduced this exact irregular lunar motion. So this wasn't just a fancy decorative clock. These engineers were literally turning complex, cutting-edge astronomical theory into physical bronze engineering.
Section 4. Decoding the hidden secrets. 82 fragments of a puzzle.
So how exactly do we know all of this today? Well, we're dealing with an incomplete masterpiece. We actually only have about 1/3 of the original device. Today, it survives in 82 distinct broken fragments, containing approximately 30 surviving gears. The entire front portion, including the exact mechanics for those 5 planetary displays we were just talking about, is heavily damaged or entirely missing. So it remains this ongoing, absolutely gigantic mechanical puzzle.
But we've made leaps and bounds recently, thanks to modern tech. The big breakthrough started in 2005, when researchers used advanced X-ray computed tomography. This was revolutionary because it allowed them to finally look inside the delicate, corroded fragments without destroying them. This process revealed the hidden gear teeth buried deep inside the bronze, and most incredibly, it brought to light thousands of tiny, hidden characters, acting almost like a user manual. Imagine digging up a modern laptop that had been corroded in the ocean for 2 millennia. The screen is gone, and you're somehow trying to read its instruction manual. But thanks to these decoded inscriptions, scientists today can slowly start to reconstruct this ancient cosmos in physical models and computer simulations.
Section 5. History's greatest missing link, the legacy of lost knowledge.
And this brings us to the final and perhaps most profound mystery of this entire explainer. The Antikythera Mechanism is totally unique among surviving ancient devices because it perfectly combined theoretical astronomy with highly sophisticated mechanical design. But here is the massive problem. A machine this incredibly complex simply could not have appeared out of thin air. It represents a vast, deep tradition of mechanical engineering, of earlier prototypes, and of skilled workshops that have entirely vanished from the historical record.
We so often think of history as a straight upward line, right? From primitive tools to simple machines to clocks to computers. But history is rarely that simple. As the saying goes, over time, knowledge can disappear. Workshops disappear, craftsmen die, political systems collapse, libraries burn, and inventions that once seemed totally obvious can just become forgotten. The Antikythera Mechanism forces us to confront the incredibly fragile nature of human technological progress. It is hard proof that knowledge can appear, completely disappear, and then take centuries to ever reappear.
And that leaves us with a lingering, provocative question. Who taught the maker how to build it? There had to have been generations of accumulated knowledge of geometry, metalworking, and calendar science that led up to this single device. Until archaeology uncovers more evidence, the Antikythera Mechanism remains a solitary, brilliant ghost of a completely forgotten technological age. It's a tiny bronze machine whose gears are still turning, 2,000 years later, right in our imaginations. Keep asking questions and never stop exploring the mysteries of our past.